Personal LJ-GT 2305 13 dot PL and O. Stop. Hello Gershon. Stop. Firstly, my apologies for not replying as quickly as I'd indicated in my earlier email. I must say it came as a pleasant surprise to receive it. Brackets. I still have the clock you brought back from Kenya and gave me. Though my grandson is casting covetous eyes upon it. Stop. As you may be aware, I retired in 2009 from Metronet, from secondment to Metronet. I felt that returning to Atkins would not give me quite the satisfaction that the autonomous role I'd had in Metronet had given me. The question was, what should I now do? What should I then do? Stop. I decided to take a more active role in ICE affairs and became a chartered professional reviewer, a mentor, and an external SCE. Stop. I also thought it would be quite an interesting exercise to revisit my volunteering experiences in West Africa and join REDAR and became a consultant to a small charity called Cameroon Catalyst, which was seeking to give experience to engineering graduates at various universities in digging wells and latrines and sanitary facilities in outlying villages of Cameroon. You may or may not be aware that Cameroon speaks French, but of a very musical kind, which I found very difficult to follow, although my French is not so good as my wife's. But it was absolutely fascinating to see what emerging countries were like and how they changed since I was volunteering in Nigeria nearly 60 years ago. I have to stop. I have to say that while there have been changes, they've not altogether been for the better. And I think the so-called developed countries have got a lot to answer for in the poor economic development in the so-called third world. Stop. The main activities there seem to be illegal and non-environmentally friendly logging, and mining of rare earth minerals, most of the benefits of which seem to go to China, and Japan. Stop. Latterly, I found that candidates for professional review, possibly as a result of the online interviewing techniques, have become far more savvy and far more inclined to appeal against adverse decisions. And while I'm getting too old for that sort of thing, so have tended to give up the reviewing, but I'm still mentoring graduate and undergraduate engineers. Stop. Interestingly, I was acting as an industrial tutor to a final year candidate who'd come to University College to do his engineering from Germany, who'd come to University College to do his engineering degree. And when I asked him if he intended to continue his career in the UK, he said, with a heavy German accent, "No way. The pay here is so poor." He said, "I could earn 50% more starting salary working as a management trainee with Aldi, and in 10 years' time I could be earning 100% more." The higher rates comparing very favourably with rates for engineering for young engineers in Germany and elsewhere on the continent. Stop. My biggest and saddest experience is that my wife, Wendy, contracted Alzheimer's 2 to 3 years ago, and her mental faculties rapidly declined to the extent that I found it impossible to look after her at home, and she's now in a nursing home. I have to say I wouldn't wish her experience and my experience on anybody, and I feel that it's an area where medical research and government assistance to sufferers are sadly lacking. The most telling things is the loneliness of living in a house that had Wendy and now 2 children, and now who both of whom have now got families of their own and are living away, leaving me just to rattle around like a pea in a tin can, and a home which I can't afford to sell which I wouldn't want to sell because the proceeds would automatically be taken for Wendy's care, but not while I'm still living in the house. At the moment, I'm getting ready to go and watch my grandson play football, with the prospect that his team will be promoted next season if he wins. So he needs all the support he can get. Stop. I'd love to hear what you're doing, Gershon, since you left Atkins, and look forward, when it suits, to hearing from you. Take care. Kindest regards, Lee.